Hello, my dear 8th graders. My name is Florina RUSE. I'm a teacher of English at George Koshbuk, National Bilingual High School in Bucharest, and welcome to our English lesson today. The purpose of this lesson is to prepare you for that special exam that you need to pass if you want to join an intensive English class or a bilingual English class when you go to high school. That means that I strongly urge you to have everything that you need at hand: a glass of water, a nice cup of tea, a fruit, a snack, or a chocolate bar, definitely your notebook or your pencil, because we have quite a lot of things to cover. So let's get down to business. The lesson consists of 3 main parts. We will start by looking at the reading task, followed by use of English, and we will finish everything with a little bit of speaking. I'm going to upload a worksheet, a handout. Hopefully everyone will be able to see it clearly. So I will disappear somewhere in the background. Don't worry about me. And instead of doing every single exercise together, which might be a little bit too time consuming and a little bit, let's say, pointless, because of course that you can do all those exercises on your own, by yourselves later on. I was thinking that maybe we can discuss certain tips, certain techniques that you could use when focusing on doing these tasks as well as possible. All right, so here we go. This is what the exam paper looks like, and the first task deals with the reading part. Okay, now you're supposed to read, of course, what else? A text. And if you take a look at our text, which is not very long, but not very short either. So it starts here, Journey to Safety, and it ends on the next page here. So again, if you take a closer look at our text, you will see that there are 5 gaps. And 5 sentences have been removed from the text, which means that you need to find which sentence out of these 6 options best fits each gap. Now, you might be tempted to start reading the text very, very, very diligently, right, very carefully from the very beginning, and then when you reach gap number 1, you stop, and then you go back to the 6 sentences and you start thinking about the right choice. Well, my advice would be to first skim the text. That means you need to quickly read it. It will take you about a minute or so, just in order to get a general idea of the text, what the text is about. And after quickly reading the text or skimming the text, please start reading the text carefully. And this time, of course, that you will need to make a choice. Now, from my previous experience with my students, I know that after they have decided that, okay, let's say that A is the correct answer here, in their opinion, what they do is immediately cross out the letter. So when they need to find the next sentence, they do not take sentence A into account anymore, into consideration, which means that if A is wrong here, they are bound to make another mistake somewhere else. My advice would be not to cross out that letter, right? But when you reach a new gap, please reconsider all other options. This way you reduce the risk of making a double mistake. So let's do number 1 together, just in order to make sure that you do understand what you need to do. And then the remaining sentences, of course, will be your homework. Okay? Now, it should take you about 20 seconds to read the first 2 paragraphs. Okay. And now, of course, that you have realized that the text is about a baby elephant, which has some problems, right? More problematic for the staff at the conservation office was that Nana refused to drink anything. We contacted many people for advice, and on the basis of what we were told, decided to blah, 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 blah. Could it be A? in the summer heat, this was clearly a serious problem. The use of this forces us to consider the previous sentence, right? So this word must have a correct preference. Now, do we have anything problematic mentioned before? Of course we do. Nana refused to drink anything. So this, the elephant's refusal to drink anything, was a serious problem. A seems like a logical option, but now we have to make sure that A is the correct one. Dark clouds gathered overhead, B. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Unfortunately, Nana refused to give up her bottle. So the adoption plan was abandoned. Any previous reference to any adoption plan? No. D. If she was hungry, she was given a bottle of her special milk. And if she was tired, we stopped for a break. Again, doesn't make any sense. E. Nana recovered very quickly and everyone was very happy. Any second thoughts? Not really, because we still don't know what we actually did in order to help Nana recover. F, the only option open to us was to take her to an elephant training center that looked after orphaned elephants. We contacted many people for advice. So at first glance, you might say, okay, this could be an option as well. But now if we compare A to F, right? F goes the only option open to us, which is a little bit too much, right? And the only logical option is A. But again, right? So for now, we may think that A is the correct answer. However, when we reach the next gap, please reconsider A again. This way, you will be absolutely certain that all your choices are correct. Okay, nothing else about reading, so have fun with the rest of the text. I'm pretty sure that you are really, really, really curious about what happened to Nana now. But we will take a break from the reading task and we will focus on the use of English task. The first exercise looks a little bit challenging. You are given one sentence and what you need to do is come up with a synonymous sentence. But in addition to that, you are also given a keyword. You are not supposed to change the word given in any way. Even stays even. You can't change it. Plus, there is one more restriction. You have to use between 2 and 5 words, including the word given. The match went ahead despite the wet weather. And now this even, right, rings a bell. So there are 2 expressions which have exactly the same meaning. Despite means even if or even though. The match went ahead even if it was raining, even though it was raining. Now, you may wonder, how much grammar do I need to know in order to do this exercise? A lot. Practically, there are 10 sentences, and you will see that the grammatical structures that appear in them are different. Plus, there are a lot of phrasal verbs, obligatory prepositions, set phrases. So basically, you will have to use every single resource in terms of your grammar and vocabulary that you have. All right? Good. So that was all about these keyword transformations. And now you realize that the remaining sentences will be your homework, of course. The next one. Okay, we're going to focus on the example given in order not to spoil the fun of doing the rest on your own, of course. This is where you need to use one word only, okay? What kind of words? Well, take a look at the example. It is very common for first-year students to feel homesick. For is that kind of tiny word that we don't usually pay attention to because, well, simply because, right? We know all these words, but when we have to find the right one in such an exercise, somehow our brain goes blank and you may start wondering, Jesus, what words do I need here? So what we're going to do next would be to come up with a list of the most common words that might appear in this kind of exercises, right? And this will give you a clue as to what kind of other words you may need to activate. All right, the next one. I'm pretty sure that you are already familiar with this one. It's about multiple choice. And the 4 options given may look the same, may have similar meanings, but of course they are used differently depending on the context. Sometimes the grammar structure plays a huge role, forcing you to choose only one word because there is a certain preposition there, or maybe a certain verb requiring a certain form of the verb coming after it. So you will have to pay attention to all these details. Again, let's take a look at the example only. The modern world offers a or an of leisure activities to choose blah, blah, blah. Please don't do what I'm doing now, namely trying to find out the answer, right, on the spot. First, of course, that you should read the whole text very quickly without paying attention to the gaps, right? And after having read the text, you should go back to every single gap. Okay, so they say that the correct answer is the modern world offers a wealth of leisure activities. That means a wide range of. So if you have some idea of the correct meaning, then of course it is easy to identify the right word which has that meaning. If you're not very sure, another option would be to try using all those 4 words given in the context. And by checking each of them separately, of course that you will realize which one is wrong and which one is correct. An extra of, not really. Offers a luxury of, not really. Offers a fortune of leisure activities, again, doesn't make much sense, right? So please make sure that you use every single option in the context, and then you decide which one is the right one. And that's it. Multiple choice. Say goodbye to this one and say hello to word formation. Now, this is a favorite with almost all students. It's all about using suffixes and prefixes, so it's more like a fun activity, like a game, actually. And what you need to do is use these words in the given order, right? So number 1 here corresponds to number 1 here. And you have to identify, first of all, the part of speech needed. Let's take a look again at our example. Dodo is the name of a large bird that couldn't fly and which no blah, blah, blah exists. Now, exists is a verb, and we know that the only part of speech that can accompany a verb, especially when placed before it, is an adverb. Obviously, because of that no, I need to use the comparative, and which no longer exists, right? So this is exactly what you need to do every single time you reach a new gap. Decide what part of speech you need. In this case, wings and tail are nouns. Obviously, you need to use an adjective. And here there is another trick. You have to decide whether you need the affirmative or the negative form of the adjective, right? This can be a little bit tricky. If you are not very sure which suffix or which prefix you need, of course that again, you may try using several suffixes or several prefixes, and here your own sense of the language will tell you which one sounds just about right, if you're not very sure, of course. Okay, and here we come to the last one, which is indeed a little bit unusual. It's not that kind of exercise which appears in our textbooks these days. It used to be part of this Cambridge exam, first B2, a while ago, but not anymore. So let's see what this exercise is all about. You have to read the text below. Look carefully at each line. Why? Because some lines are correct, but some contain a word which should not be there. So it's only about identifying unnecessary words. You are not supposed to correct any mistakes. If the line is correct, just put a tick. Look at the example, our tick. If the line contains a word which should not be there, write the word beside it. And this is the example. Has seems to be unnecessary. Now, the whole point is, how on earth do we know whether a certain word is unnecessary or not? Again, this is where your grammar, your vocabulary will come in just nicely, okay? Wilma is desperate to get a job. She has left college over a year ago and still hasn't found anything suitable. Of course that you have to read the full sentence, otherwise nothing will make any sense. After reading the full sentence, you have to go back to each line. Wilma is desperate to get a job. That's fine, no problems. But now let's take a look at the next one. She has left college over a year ago. And they say that has here is unnecessary. Why? Well, because of this time expression, over a year ago. And we know that ago requires the use of past simple. So she left college over a year ago is the correct structure. And that's why has to go away. Okay? So you just need to keep reading every single sentence, and then you need to go back to every single line and decide whether there is one word which is out of place in that sentence. All right? If the line, is correct, then just add the tick here at the end of the line. Okay, and that's about it. So now, as promised, let's go through some tips and techniques that you could use. Hopefully, it's not going to be too boring for you. If you feel the need to pause the video right now and do a little bit of stretching, listen to some music, do a little bit of brain gym, enjoy the cup of tea, that's fine, but please come back soon, okay? I will stop sharing this handout. And I'm going to use the whiteboard because we are going to do a little bit of writing. Okay? So let's write down all our tips that we have discussed so far. And let's start with reading. So remember, not cross out the letters. Okay. Try using all of them. Okay. If you're not sure. Sorry about the typo. I'm the master of typos. My colleagues always make fun of me because of that. All right. And again, it is very, very important. Sorry about that. It is very, very important to quickly read the text first, and then read it again more carefully. Okay? Good. Now, use of English. If you remember, the first exercise was keyword transformations. What were the rules? Do not change the given word. Use the right number of words. Do not change the meaning of the given sentence in any way. All right. Anything else? Oh, yes. Which grammatical structures do you need to know? Well, let's see. So you should be able to use this. You should be able to use all verb tenses. Passive voice seems to be a favorite with teachers in our country. Some conditional clauses, not all of them, but type 1, type 2 maybe. Indirect speech, ing forms and infinitives. Modal verbs, they are a must. And of course, adjectives. Okay. Now you also need to pay attention to phrasal verbs. Everybody hates them. Really, really sorry about that, but we have no choice. So phrasal verbs, remember, take up, give up, put up, take in, take to. And now, of course, that you understand why everybody hates them. They are so confusing. There are so many of them. All right, phrasal verbs. And one more thing here, obligatory prepositions. They can be a nightmare, I know, because sometimes in Romanian we don't use these prepositions and we might be influenced by our mother tongue. So obligatory prepositions. Okay, so that's all about keyword transformations. Good luck with that. And I hope that you will start revising your grammar seriously. Grammar can be fun, trust me. Right, next we have open close. This is where you need to use one word only. This is crucial. One word only. And what kind of words? Now again, let's come up with a list and I'm going to clear this whiteboard and start a new one. Okay, can I? Hopefully I can. Okay, so let's start first of all with prepositions. And unfortunately here, I don't have any tips for you, right? It's just a matter of remembering them correctly. So you may be lucky and come across some prepositions that you already know. Otherwise, really sorry. The next one, pronouns. And here you have to be very careful with those less common pronouns or maybe more difficult ones. For example, each other versus one another, right? We use each other when there are only two objects or two people involved, one another when there are more. Okay, what other pronouns? For example, well, right now I can't think of any other pronouns that might be a little bit more problematic, to tell you the truth. Maybe the reflexive pronouns can be tricky at times. Myself or yourselves in the plural. So pay attention to these pronouns as well. Then we have auxiliary verbs. And here again, you have to know your grammar, all those verb tenses. And it's about do, or does, or will, or have, or has. So it all depends on the verb form, the verb tense that appears in that text, and you have to correctly identify it. Okay? Would as well can be a little bit of a problem. Had can be problematic. Modal verbs, again, you have to pay attention to these modal verbs. Can, or could, or may, or might. And here we come to certain words, right? Linking words. where you need to be very, very sure that you have identified the correct connection between sentences or between words. I mean the logical connection, right? Because these linking words are all about the meaning. For example, if there is some contrast, or if there is similarity, or if you want to add something, if you want to introduce an example, then you have to choose the correct linking word. And they often appear in such exercises. So, linking words. About that. Linking words. Okay. And we have our first category, namely contrast. However, and you always need a comma after this, however, okay? Nevertheless, yet, still, but, okay? There might be some more, but these are the most common ones. Similarity, both, alike, as well, and maybe as is missing, or maybe well is missing. To, conclusion, or result, as a result, and again, any of these words might be the missing one. As such, thus, therefore. So now I'm pretty sure that you are guessing what I mean, right? You just need to come up with a list, let's call it a list of such words, right? Because if you start going through them, you will realize which one you need, right? So one word will trigger another one and another one until you land the correct option in your text. For example, okay, what's this? Another linking word introducing examples. So we have, for example, for instance, such a, okay. Sometimes you may have to emphasize a certain idea. So it's all about emphasis. Even specialists think that blah, 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 blah. In fact, which can also show some contrast as well. But it can be used, just to add some emphasis as well. Okay, so let's add it here as well. So she was so beautiful that such that. And please be very careful with this It was such beautiful weather. Sometimes that cannot be used if the noun is uncountable. So let's place it between brackets. All right. And the list might go on, but as long as you identify the correct logical connection between ideas, between sentences, and the more words you start activating, the more likely you are to come up with the right answer. Okay, so even if you don't find that word from the very beginning, keep thinking about it, right? And eventually you will find it. Okay, so contrast, look, I have forgotten about this too. Even if, or even though. All right, and there are more. but for now this will do just fine. Okay, and here we come to the next one, word formation. First of all, let's pay attention to suffixes. Which are the most common suffixes that we use in order to obtain nouns? If you're interested in jobs or professions, if you need one such job or a profession, then of course that you may need to use ER, as in I'm a teacher, I'm a worker, I'm a banker, or this one, I'm an artist. If I act, I'm an actor, or I might be an actress, right? If I study history, I am a historian. And please do not make that mistake. Physics, if you are a physician, you don't study physics. You are a doctor, right? If you study physics, you are a physicist. So please be very careful with these nouns expressing jobs. The next one, I might be an employer if I employ people, but if I work for someone, I am an employee, an interviewee. So this is a very funny suffix. I have to say that. The next one, maybe you need to obtain an abstract noun. For example, freedom. So what's our suffix? Dom. Stardom. That is a very interesting noun. So not very usual. Can be a little bit tricky or problematic. Another one, for example, when certain students join together or form a group, that might be a fraternity or a sorority, liberty. That would be another example. Inform, I need a piece of information. A very, very, very common noun. If we want to become independent, we fight for our independence. Okay, so there are several such nouns. And again, if you are in doubt, just try using several. And of course that your sense of the language will somehow help you, right? Decide whether this is the right one or not. Okay. The next group of words that we are interested in, adjectives. When you use your logic, it means that you are a logical person. If you have a great sense of humor, you are a humorous person. If you are an optimistic person, you are also hopeful. The opposite with a different meaning, true, less. Hopeless, careless, the opposite of careful. If you find something interesting, you are interested in that. Or if a film or a book is boring, you feel bored. That was my cat. That is my cat. Really, really sorry about that. Okay. Any other adjectives that you can think of? A couple of seconds. Let's see. If creativity is one of your best qualities, it means that you are a creative person. So that is another suffix. And I think that this is it. Of course, there might be some more, but again, this will do for the time being. Now, from adjectives, it is very easy to obtain adverbs because you simply need to add that ly. Okay, and this is where a lot of students make mistakes. So please pay attention to this suffix. There is only one L. Beautiful, careful, only one L. But if you use these words as adverbs, of course that L gets doubled because you have full plus ly. So it's like this, right? So it doesn't mean that the suffix is fully, I just want you to see it on paper, right? And to remember that double L. So you simply have ly, but let's write down some examples. Carefully, hopefully. And this is where the L gets doubled. Not here. Only one L here, double L here. Now you have to pay attention to some adjectives. For example, friendly. Of course, that you can't say friendlily. It sounds really, really, really funny, right? So friendly is the adjective. He is a friendly guy. He behaves in a friendly manner. So be very, very careful with this suffix ly. You don't need to always use it. Fast, fast, for example. Again, there is no need for ly. But in most cases, most adjectives do receive that ending ly. And now let's pay attention to some verbs. Okay. You may feel a little bit deaf if the music is too loud. That means the music can deafen you. And you can obtain a very interesting adjective, deafening. Deafening music, deafening noises. See? So sometimes you may have to use several suffixes, a combination of all these suffixes, which is quite challenging, but you feel so good when you get it right. Deafen, widen, deepen. So the suffix is en. Another one, starting from the adjective modern, modernize, for example. So that is another good option. And the last one that I want you to pay attention to is this one, as in intensify, electrify. These are good choices. Okay. And now please pay attention to the following words. They look the same to some extent, but there are some major differences between them. And again, they are a huge favorite with all teachers. Okay. So if we start from the adjective, let's see what the noun is and what the verb is. And the first such adjective is white. Okay. Can you guess what the noun is? It's this one, width, and the verb widen. The next one, long. I'm waiting. And I hope that this is the one that you have come up with. Length. And the verb follows exactly the same pattern. Lengthen. Deep. Again, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Depth. Deepen. Strong. Strength. strengthen. And it's very easy to remember the correct spelling because of the pronunciation, right? In order to be able to pronounce it like this, of course, the correct order is the H, right? Width, length, depth, it's that sound, th. You definitely need first the T and then the H. Now what happens here? The adjective is high, and now the noun is height. And of course that you notice the difference in pronunciation. It's not height, it's height, that clear T. So the spelling, just listen to the word, and of course that you will know how to spell it, right? Height. And the verb is quite rare. I can't say that I have often seen it in exercises or wherever. Heighten. Okay. And the last one, which just like heighten is not that common, but somehow it makes its way in various exercises. Broad. The noun is a very weird one. Breadth. And the verb, which is more common, RUSE. Okay. So that's all I need you to know about word formation for the time being. Just keep practice using these suffixes. And there is one more thing, prefixes. So again, here we go. Prefixes. And here it is very easy to group them according to their meaning. Let's start with the negative ones. Practical, impractical. Patient, impatient. In, expensive, inexpensive. Unnecessary, unnecessary. However, there are no rules, right, to tell us when to use im, when to use in, when to use un. They all look the same, but they are used differently. There is one clue about that im, and here there are two more which behave somehow in a similar manner, namely logical, illogical, rational, irrational, moral, immoral, and then that consonant gets doubled. So let's add this to our list as well. And then we're going to write down some examples. I really want you again to see the word and remember the correct spelling. So we have immoral, immodest, weird word again, right? Illogical, irrational. All right. Any other negative prefixes? Yes. This. Loyal, disloyal. Functional, dysfunctional. And the last one, anti or anti, antisocial, antisocial. Okay. Another group of prefixes, when you do something again, it's re. Oh, sorry. I was wrong about this. Okay, it should come here. Okay. You're getting it. So rewrite, redo, restart. Some other prefixes that you might encounter, for example, something that happens with another institution or another department or another country, right? So cooperate, together, cooperate, for example. If the meaning is between, intercontinental, for example, international. You may have this kind of prefix as in mono or bi, monolingual, bilingual. Also, which means self, autobiography. And again, if there are some other prefixes, of course, that you can always add them to this list. Okay, and now, yes, nothing else about word formation. And when we come to the last exercise, the one with that unnecessary word in each line, please remember, read the full sentence and then go back to each line. They will not tell you how many lines are correct. So you may think that there is a mistake, and in fact, there are no mistakes there. It's entirely up to you to decide whether indeed a line is correct or incorrect. They will not tell you how many lines are correct. So the last one, unnecessary words. This is my tip. Please read the full sentence and then go back to each line. And please remember, again, it's all about auxiliary verbs. It's all about prepositions. Again, those tiny words, linking words sometimes as well can be a problem. And that's it. Nothing else about use of English. Keep practicing. You will find such exercises in all textbooks or in all preparation materials. Textbooks as well, meant for first B2, that Cambridge exam. They might be a little bit more difficult or more challenging than the ones in our handout, but that's really, really good practice for you. And that's it. So reading done, use of English done. Let's focus now on the speaking part. And here again, I have some tips for you. I hope that you haven't got too bored or too tired. I promise I will try to finish as fast as I can or as soon as possible. So speaking. The speaking part always starts from a given text. You will have to read that text. You will have some time to prepare your answers. The text is not long, but some texts can be quite difficult. The vocabulary can be a little bit challenging. So you will have some time to read the text, and then you will have to answer 3 questions about the text. And the 4th question asks you to come up with a speech. So you will have to speak fluently for about a minute, up to 2 minutes. You may say that it's not much, but in fact it is, on a given statement, which is somehow related to the text. And this speech has a certain structure. I mean, examiners will expect certain things from you. They will expect you to be coherent, logical. They will expect you to come up with arguments and examples. And you can do this only if you come up with a nice plan. There are some teachers who don't allow the candidates to read their speech, which makes sense. However, you will be able to use the notes that you have made in advance. Use those if you want to. Otherwise, you just open your mouth and of course the words will start pouring in a very, very, impressive way. Okay, so we are going to take a look at a sample first, and then we will see what exactly you need to remember about this part. Okay, so let me upload another handout now. That's the one that I need. Okay, Here it is. See, this is the text that I've told you about. Please take a minute to quickly read it. You will have some time after our lesson or when our lesson is over to read it carefully and prepare the right answers. Right now, a minute will do just fine. Okay, now let's take a look at the first question. What is the text about? And please tell me which of these answers is a relevant one or an adequate one. The text is about children. No, it's not about children, right? I mean, it is about children, but not children in general. The text is about languages. Again, not really. Yes, it has something to do with languages, but it's not about languages, foreign languages, or some languages. No. What if the text is about children who are learning at least one foreign language or even more languages? It is a little bit better, but it is a little bit incomplete. It's not only about children learning languages, but in the second part of the text, in the second half, we also have some sort of comparison between how children learn foreign languages and how adults learn languages. My advice would be to include all these ideas in your answer and come up with a very, very, very brief summary of the text. The text is about children who are learning other languages. In the first part of the text, the main focus is on the age when children should start learning a second language, whereas in the second part of the text, the focus is on the difference between how children learn languages and how adults do that. Now, that might be a better answer. So please stay away from very, very short answers to this question. The text is about lions. The text is about pets. No, we expect more, okay? A more developed answer. The next two questions are much easier to deal with. The answers are there. What is the best age for children to start learning a second language? Obviously, it is here. So if you want to use these very words, that's fine. If you can come up with synonyms, if you can rephrase that structure, even better. Question number 3, what do the researchers say about children and families that migrate to a new country? The answer is here. This is the paragraph on families that migrate to a new country. So the answer is children pick up languages more easily than adults, a phenomenon often seen in families that migrate to a new country. This is your answer. Okay, good. And here we come to the last one, the speech. Express your opinion on the following statement. One language sets you in a corridor for life. Two languages open every door along the way. Give reasons and examples to support your opinion. Now let's listen to this speech and think about the effect it has on you. Yes, I agree. One language sets you in a corridor for life, but two languages open every door along the way. If you speak as many languages as possible, you will be able to get a good job. When you travel, it will be very easy for you to understand whatever the people there are saying. In conclusion, I agree that one language sets you in a corridor for life, but two languages open every door along the way. Is that a good speech? Definitely not. It's really, really, really bad. I mean, I do put forward some ideas, but they are basic. There are no arguments. There are no examples. My sentences are very short, and everything sounds as if I was using a gun machine. Da-dum, 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 right? So the effect on the listener is not the expected one. It's not good at all. let's see how we can improve on my essay. What I have produced so far sounds like maybe a basic plan, a starting point. But that means I really need to add more ideas and more linking words so as to come up with a coherent discourse, easy to follow. I can impress my examiners with a wide range of vocabulary. Most of my sentences are correct. I am able to use some complex structures. Maybe I'm also able to use some of these structures correctly, right? Not only, not only do I attempt at using such complex structures, but I'm able to produce them correctly as well. So there is a difference between attempting and using these complex structures with a certain degree of success. So you have to pay attention to all these things, and that's why the preparation time is essential. Now let's see how you can make the most of that preparation time and what exactly you need to do. And again, I'm going to start using the whiteboard. And let's make some notes. Okay. And we need to start with the introduction. Remember my introduction? Yes, I agree. One language, blah, 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 but two languages, blah, 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 blah. It's too abrupt. So first of all, you need a general statement about learning languages in general, about the need to learn more languages these days. And this way the reader will know that your speech will look at learning as many languages or as many foreign languages as possible. But then what about these foreign languages? Is it about how easy it is to learn foreign languages? Is it about how you can learn these foreign languages? No. It's about how useful they are or how successful you will be in your career and in your personal life if you know more than one such foreign language. So you should remember these two things about your introduction. First sentence introduces the larger topic of your essay, learning languages, technology these days, pollution. So this is the big topic, the big thing, let's say. But then you have to narrow down your introduction and you need to introduce the main idea of your speech. What exactly about that large theme, about that big theme, about that big topic, about the subject matter, whatever. So you need to come up with a more specific sentence clarifying the purpose of your speech. Let's make some notes then. Introduction. One general statement. Introducing the subject matter of your speech. Examples of such subject matters were sports, technology, education, computers, health, learning, foreign languages, you name it, right? The list is endless. The second sentence clarifies the purpose of your speech. What exactly about sports? What exactly about computer, right? In my case, for example, learning foreign languages has become a necessity in our modern society. This doesn't only help you to advance in your career or to get a good job, but it also makes you a better person. And now my listener will know, right? My examiner will know that in the next two paragraphs in the main body, I'm going to demonstrate how come learning foreign languages will boost my career And this is where I need to bring further arguments, maybe examples. And then in the next paragraph, I have to develop on that idea that learning foreign languages makes me a better person. So it helps me with my personal development. And again, I need to put forward some relevant arguments or examples. What do I mean by examples? Well, they can be examples based on your personal experience, maybe something that you remember from a book or a movie. So any example will do just fine as long as it is relevant and on point. And this is how we move on to the main body. Please remember, here you will basically need 2 paragraphs. I would be very happy if my candidates produced 2 such paragraphs. But the most important rule about these paragraphs is that you will need to include one different idea in each of them, right? So learning foreign languages is important because it helps me with my career. That's my first idea. And it helps me with my personal development. That's my second idea, right? Let's suppose that the statement given is about the advantages of doing team sports versus individual sports. And a good introduction would be, for example, sports have always played an essential role in leading a healthy life. Of course, that team sports do come with certain advantages, but individual sports influence our life in a good way as well. Now, this introduction is good, but it's not very clear. I mean, my listener maybe understands that I will have one paragraph looking at the advantages of team sports, right? And another paragraph looking at the advantages of individual sports. This might be one way of organizing my ideas as well. So the important thing is that the main body has to be very, very clearly organized. One clear idea, one distinct idea in one paragraph, and another idea, a completely different one in the second one. 2 paragraphs, right? One distinct idea in each. So I hope that my point about distinct ideas, different ideas is clear. So that's why you need that preparation time to activate 2 different ideas that you can use in order to develop on that statement, on the given statement. Now, another important thing about these paragraphs is that you need to use linking devices. My speech didn't have any linking devices. And again, remember that kind of gun machine effect. Yes, learning languages is good. You will get a good job. You will be able to communicate with people when you travel. In conclusion, I think that learning languages is good. There was that very, very feeble in conclusion there, but it wasn't enough. Now let's see how we can improve on that. What do I mean by linking devices? Please stay away from those linking devices or words that you usually use in an essay. First of all, second of all, in conclusion. They are more appropriate in essays. If, however, you can't remember any other introductory words, that's fine. Use those words because they will do. But a better option, a much more natural option in a speech would be, for example, for a start, let's look at. Now, let's talk about that. Another important aspect is, another relevant aspect is, when it comes to, see, they are much more natural in when you talk to someone. It feels as if you are actually addressing that person, right? And that person feels that you are paying attention to him or her. So please stay away from that, first of all, second of all, and try using these ones, which are much more natural. For a start, let's look at, let's focus on to begin with, for a start, okay? And now for the second paragraph, you may want to use something like, now let's talk about blah, 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 blah. Or let's move on to blah, 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 blah. They sound more natural. Now within the paragraphs, within each paragraph, sorry, of course, you will need different linking devices. For a start, learning foreign languages will definitely boost your career. I mean, your chances of landing a great job in a multinational or a really good company are much higher. You will be regarded as an educated person. People will trust you. You will be able to get involved in many projects. And finally, you are bound to achieve success. Not bad. Are they enough? Not really. Remember, in each sentence, you will need one such linking device. You can never have too many. Well, at some point you can have too many, but please remember, in English, you have to use many more such devices than we do in Romanian. So the third group of linking devices, those that must appear within the paragraph. And here we have what's more, plus for example, however, okay. Do not use, again, linkers which are more appropriate in an essay. For example, nevertheless. Nevertheless is still okay. Furthermore, moreover. They sound essay-like, not really speech-like. Okay. Such, so, therefore, they will add a plus to your speech. And in your conclusion, again, you need a different linker to sum up on balance overall. If you want to use that classic in conclusion, that's fine. How many sentences do you need in your conclusion? I would say that one long sentence is enough. So you have covered the thing with foreign languages helping you boost your career. In the next paragraph, you have covered the other idea, learning foreign languages helps you become a better person, you become more knowledgeable, more tolerant, you know a lot of things about other cultures, you will stay active for the rest of your life, continuing to learn new things. You will feel at home or at ease wherever you go. You will not feel embarrassed. You will manage in whatever situations. As you can see, there are so many arguments that you can put forward. It's just a matter of activating all these ideas. Finally, you reach your conclusion, and this is where, again, you have to include the most important things that you have mentioned in your essay. Overall, the person who manages to learn as many languages as possible will definitely be a successful person, no matter from which perspective you look at it. job-wise, career-wise, and personality-wise, that person will impress everyone. See? And that's it. So please make sure that you include 1 or maybe 2 sentences. I'm a little bit obsessed with paragraphing, so I would suggest that you use 2 sentences. Otherwise, if you have that 1 sentence in your conclusion, again, it may sound a little bit like too abrupt. In conclusion, learning foreign languages is good. Blank. Yeah. Okay. So it spoils the effect on your listeners. Use 2 sentences, and somehow, right, you have to summarize the most important points that you've made in your speech. And summarize the most important points using different words. Okay. Now, speeches require a lot of practice. You will be able to find, or you should find, like hundreds of topics for speeches online. And it's a really good thing to take a look at all those suggestions, because they activate the different areas of vocabulary, different grammatical structures. You will realize that maybe you will need to do a little bit of research in a certain area of vocabulary and learn more words. Maybe you will become really interested in one topic and you will start doing online research, and suddenly you realize, oh my gosh, I've learned so much about technology or about sports, things that I had no idea existed before. So the advantages are countless. That means, that means that, yeah, this is the end of our lesson. I hope that you haven't got too bored. Really, really sorry if I took my time. I really hope that you are going to use all these tips and you're going to start practicing your use of English, your reading, and of course that these speeches, and you will become really proficient in English. So good luck with all your exams, especially with the English ones. And please, please, please keep studying English. As you can see, learning foreign languages will boost your career, will bring you success no matter what. And you will become the best version of yourselves if you do so. Okay, honey bunnies, bye. That's all for today. See you soon.